I and plenty of other rail fans have all heard this question. Why trains? Well, it's a bit of a tough question to answer because none of us are really sure. But for the 10th anniversary of my YouTube channel, that being first video was published in, I believe, October 2016, and it is now 2026. So I wanted to make a video talking about why I enjoy trains, what got me into trains, and what have I been doing with trains for the last few years, other than posting videos about them. For example, I work at a railroad museum now, and I'm going to talk about it as a celebration of my channel. So, heck, it's gotten to the point to where, as you can see in these clips I'm showing, trains are all over. They're such a big part of my life. They're all over my house, my room. I'm wearing a train shirt as I'm making this. And I've gotten my photos posted in magazines, specifically the Steel Highway magazine, which I gotta say I highly recommend. I hope he brings those back soon. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's turn back the clock to when I was a small kid, watching a little show you might know as Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. Not only the show, but the books were detrimental to how everything started. You see, when I was a kid, my favorite television show was The Dukes of Hazzard. But right behind it was Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. And I still love this show to this day. I grew up watching this show, and as a kid, I could appreciate the talking trains, and as an adult, I appreciate the model work, all the work that went into creating the series. Like, look at some of those scenic views, like, it's amazing. And I still love this show to this day. I've still got all my old toys, well, most of them, and I've even made fan episodes of the series, though I haven't done anything with them. And yeah, it's a huge part of my childhood and definitely how this gets started. So I then got a Bachmann HO scale Thomas the Tank Engine. And of course, I was a kid, I was rough with it. It's not in the best of shape these days, but that little model HO scale train really got me started. And as such, my dad got tired of me watching Thomas literally all the time. And he goes, you know what, we're going to change it up. Here's some real train videos. And he did not know what he was starting. And neither did the rest of my parents, who are just as guilty as shaping who I was about to become, basically. It all started at the spot on the CN Fulton subdivision known as Tipton Siding. That was where I caught my first train ever, at least I'm pretty sure, and it's definitely where I've had a lot of notable times. I have a big soft spot for that location and getting trains there. Anyways, also, after I would be babysitted by a family friend, my mom or dad, whoever picked me up that day, would sometimes take me to CSX's Leawood Yard, which is now a no-go after many incidents have happened to make it not the greatest place you want to be. But I used to go there and watch trains, entering and leaving the yard, and going up the CSX Memphis subdivision. Also, I used to go play on Frisco steam locomotive number 1351, a Mikado that is on static display in Collierville, Tennessee. And unfortunately, the locomotive has never looked all that great since it was retired from the Frisco. Another thing that really helped my love of trains was seeing Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum number 610. Yes, in I believe 2006, me and my family went to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum in Chattanooga, Tennessee to see the 610 and ride behind the train. And it was the first steam locomotive I ever saw in operation, and that's special to a rail fan. It was built in 1952 for the U.S. Army. It is an S-160A class, a one-off of the normal S-160s. It was supposed to be part of a new batch, but it never happened. And the engine served on the Fort Eustis Military Railroad until it was put on static display, I believe in Alabama, before being acquired by the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. Another thing that fueled my love for trains around that time was the Steam Trains DVDs that my dad got me off of eBay, made by Mark I Videos. If you're a rail fan, you may know them. They were narrated by Jim Boyd, the editor of the time at Railfan and Railroad Magazine. But as a kid, and even as an adult now, I watched these things over and over and over, and I still do, because they're really great and super informative, and were really what got me started on wanting to railfan with a camera. I owe it all to them. And in elementary school, I would watch the train pass before I would enter the building, which made a lot of people mad at me. Oh well. But after that, I was pretty much done. I got out of trains for a while. I started caring how people thought about me and trying to fade into the background. So I kind of dropped trains, and I wouldn't get back into them until high school. In my junior year of high school, I was doing a project for my computer class, and it said I had to choose a career and basically make a whole thing about it, like a whole stand and talking about it and what you have to do to get the job, And I chose my childhood dream of a locomotive engineer, because as a kid I told people that I would one day run the 4449, and now I know that is a very unrealistic and never going to happen goal. But then I was determined that one day I'd be the engineer of 4449. At least have a day at the throttle for it. I still hope they have an at the throttle experience someday so that dream can come true. When I went to the website, I saw for Union Pacific that an excursion was happening. 844 was coming to Memphis. I was psyched. And soon enough, I also met my good friend to this day, Hunter. He was then called Hunter's Vlogging and More, then West Tennessee Railfan, and now what you see on the screen. And we both psyched each other up for 844, and soon enough, October came, late October came and I went to Dexter, Missouri to chase 844 to Marion, Arkansas, taking a day off of school. And it is a day I will never forget. After that, I started caring less and less about what people thought of me and what I enjoyed. And I enjoyed trains. And I started getting into locomotive types, how to tell things apart, and stories behind the railroad. And probably one of the most known parts of it, the historical side. I got big into preservation. And only a few years later, I ended up joining a museum team. I became a board member for the currently closed Memphis Railroad and Trolley Museum. I also started getting into photography around that time. Actual photography. And trying to get better at videography. I've always been trying to upgrade my skills. I've always been trying to upgrade my skills for YouTube constantly. I've always wanted to put out some of the high quality videos I see others do, and I still haven't quite gotten there, especially not with the equipment I'm using. Though, I also don't think my equipment is bad. Let's take a look at it, shall we? I've amassed a good amount of camera equipment over the years. This is my current setup. These are not all of my cameras, but most of them. This is my current video camera, a Sony Handycam HD camcorder. You can see what kind it is on the side, and it's pretty good. It gives kind of a 90s style look to my videos, but it isn't HD quality for sure. This is my Nikon D3100. It is a good camera. It's good for video and photos. While the video isn't the highest quality, this is what started me on night photography. It's a great night camera. This is my Nikon B600. The B600 is an amazing camera and what I often refer to as my far away camera because it has 60x zoom, and that means I can really get some shots far away. It's also great for daytime photography, but sucks at night. This is my newest camera, the Canon Rebel T7. This was bought for me by people I barely know, and I'm thankful they got it for me. I've quite enjoyed using it. It's definitely really fun to use, and the lens I just recently got at a flea market for $50. And it was cool to get this lens. It served me fairly well, although I have had some trouble with getting it cleaned. My favorite out of them has to be the B600. Not only has it been the one I've used the longest, but it's really good at daytime photography. Like I said though, not so great at night. Here's some of the photos I've taken over the years and some of my favorites. These are taken through different cameras, whether they be my M50, which is currently needing repairs, my B600, or any of my other cameras. If you know me, you know I like to tell a story with my rail fanning videos, and it is the same for my photographs. And I'm going to tell a few of them here, because it's one of the things I enjoy most about rail fanning is telling the stories about it. This picture doesn't have a story, but the engine does. It is one of the last GMTX locomotives to be in original paint, and it's in its original Chicago Northwestern paint. This picture also doesn't have a story in particular, but the trip does. Me and a friend went on a trip all the way from Memphis to Oklahoma and ended up chasing it through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. This one, both the photo and the engine in the photo have a story. The locomotive is Union Pacific 6706. It is an ex-Chicago and Northwestern AC 4400 CW. It is the last engine on the roster that is active in that paint scheme. The photo, with the story behind it, it was taken in Marshall, Texas. Me and a friend had gone there to see the Canadian Pacific 2816 on its trip from Canada to Mexico. Well, we went to Shreveport, Louisiana, and in the meantime, we had gone to Marshall, Texas. And at Marshall, this train surprised us. And I photographed the train and started looking around for my friend. To which he finally came up and I was like, I jokingly said, "Hey, you think we should chase this?" And he goes, "Why? What was on it?" And I said, "You don't know?" And he goes, "No, I was in the bathroom." So we ended up chasing it to, I believe it was Johnson City, Texas. This one is a pretty cool photo as well. The locomotive in this photo, Amtrak number 507, is basically a freight body diesel that was made for a passenger train company. And while it's interesting itself, not to mention it's one of the only of its kind, this also shows it leading the northbound city of New Orleans past a trolley station. That's right, that track on the right is trolley tracks for the city of Memphis. The last photo with a story is this one. You see, this locomotive is Southern Railway EMD E8 number 6914 and is preserved at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, and last I heard was awaiting to be completely restored to be operational. Well, you see, in 2021, they had an event, which was a diesel night photo session, with 3 high hood locomotives and the 6914. The 6914, though, the electricals had not yet been restored, so the headlight could not turn on. So you might be thinking, oh, is that Photoshop? No. You see, it was sunset and a cloud came and reflected off of the headlight, making it look in my camera like the headlight was on as the sun glowed against the cloud and the cloud reflected in the headlight, making it look like it was on. And it's one of my favorite photos to this date just because of that coincidence. Sometimes it's not the pictures themselves that have the story, but the thing you take the picture of. Leading this train is Illinois Central number 1000, one of the remaining Illinois Central Death Stars bought in the 1990s for the Illinois Central Railroad, and was among the last of the locomotives ever actually built for the company. These locomotives have run around on Canadian National for a few years now, especially on home rails, which is seen here. This locomotive, in 2024, I believe, got its white striping from its Illinois Central days back after a visit to the CN Homewood shops, making it a big target for Illinois Central fans. In this photo, take a look at that yellow striping rather than the white striping that 1000 had. This photo is interesting though because it has 4 Illinois Central EMD SD70s all in original paint, leading Canadian National Daily Manifest headed northbound M335. And it is extremely rare to get this sight straight out of the 1990s and the 2020s. It was taken in 2024. The lead unit of this train is known as a heritage unit. That's right, Norfolk Southern painted up 20 heritage units back in, I believe, 2012 to celebrate the history of the company. Lehigh Valley was one of those railroads, and I believe it went out in the 1980s and was taken over by Conrail, but don't quote me. I don't know the history of the Lehigh Valley all that much. Anyways, that locomotive was made to honor the Lehigh Valley. That is Norfolk Southern General Electric locomotive 8104, an ES44AC, and it is the only engine on the railroad in that paint. Also trailing behind it is Norfolk Southern 4001, a rebuilt locomotive from a General Electric C44-9W, and is now known as an AC44C6M. That paint scheme is only featured on two locomotives, number 4000 and 4001, which makes it highly sought after for many rail fans. These locomotives in the foreground are Kansas City Southern's executive EMD F units. These locomotives pulled the Office Car Special or business train for many years, as well as the Holiday Express, which it is seen here in Christmas 2024 on. This train was brought along to donate toys to kids and spread Christmas cheer. Unfortunately, this train no longer exists. You see, in 2024, they decided that it would be the last year that this train would run, because the Kansas City Southern was bought out by Canadian Pacific. Canadian Pacific decided they would run their Christmas train in its place, which I did end up chasing last year, 2025. These locomotives are unfortunately probably going to be repainted as well, as they, as of making this video, are at Mid-America Car in Kansas City, which is known for repainting locomotives, and it is likely these locomotives will not make it out of there in that paint scheme. Little did I know in 2024 that it would not only be the only time I caught those F units in their original Kansas City Southern paint scheme from the 1960s and 70s, but it would also be the only time I would be able to catch the Kansas City Southern Holiday train, well, Holiday Express, before they canceled it, because they only made the announcement in 2025. This E-unit from the Burlington Northern Railway no longer is at the Tennessee Central Railway Museum after it went to Larry's Truck and Electric, and these Santa Fe and Conrail, I believe C30-7s, are now all scrapped, and you can no longer see them. They were all in Nashville. This train was likely to be the last time I would ever see a BC Rail C40-8M. And the very next day, this was the last train I could ever see a Illinois Central Blue Devil C40-8W on. I also caught this train and the next train by the USS United States, which will be sunk very soon. And of course, in Creston, Ohio, this crossing is about to be taken down for good, with its rare teardrop bell not to be heard again. With trains everywhere disappearing all of the time, it is crucial that we document these for historical significance, and of course, because we want to see it all before it's gone, as Highball Railroad Media put it in his Railfan documentary. The desire to see it all before it's gone. And sometimes I think, yeah, it may be a little weird. And sure, maybe it is. Maybe it does seem weird seeing a guy stand by the tracks at all times of the day or night with a camera. But at the same time, I think it's worth it. I've enjoyed this hobby, and I wouldn't change a bit of it. See, with things disappearing on the railroad every day, you never know when the last time you're going to see something is. Every train could be the last time you see that thing. It could get wrecked, scrapped. It could be a multitude of things. It could never just come through your area again. You never know. It could be put in a museum, and then you have to go and see it, but not in the way you once saw it. trains are a thing that can disappear at a moment's notice. Every time a locomotive is built, there's another one waiting right around the bend to take its place. And that is one of the big reasons why I enjoy rail fanning. I've told many people that rail fanning can be like a blind bag. You're opening up, say, a Pokemon card pack. You hope to get the rare one. I'm catching a train. I hope to get a rare one. And I say that as a person who enjoys opening Pokemon cards. So, yeah. If you want to catch trains, I definitely suggest it. There is one other thing that has made this hobby so incredible for me. The biggest thing is the stories I can tell and the friends I've made to tell those stories with. You see, I've made some amazing friends in this hobby. Friends that I cannot tell any of you how much I appreciate them and all they've done for me and how much they've helped me and the great times we've had chasing after these boxes of metal on wheels. I have made some amazing friends and I wouldn't change a thing. This hobby means so much to me. But back to the historical significance. In a hobby where anything you see might disappear at a moment's notice and never, ever make an appearance again, it is crucial to get video and photographs of these things, these pieces of history, in motion, working while they are on regular service. Every piece of equipment, every locomotive, every mile of rail, every single spike has some sort of story to tell. It's been somewhere, done something. Has it been involved in an accident? Has it gone somewhere incredible? What has it pulled? Maybe it's pulled a train of rocket fuel. Maybe it's pulled a train of jets. You just don't know. There's so many reasons that I can say this is what I feel is the greatest hobby in the world. This is what I enjoy. And I've gotten into some arguments and such while rail fanning. Like, I have this clip where this woman curses me out for photographing her truck when all I was doing was filming the crossing gates going up. And some people, they don't take well to hearing about this hobby. Another thing is I can compare rail fanning to sports, watching sports, going to games. Instead, we go to railroad tracks and film the train. Or being a car guy. You know all these different types of cars. I'm a car guy myself. And also, it's the same thing, except we know all these different kinds of trains and different historical stories behind them. And it can also be comparable to hunting. Have you ever felt that disheartening feeling when you know you've missed getting that 8-point buck? You've scared it away, you did not get it. And then it's the same for rail fanning, because you missed that good train and it's like, you know, that could be the last time it ever passes. You never know what could happen. Maybe there's even that story of triumph where you brought it home, and that's how it feels when we get a good video or photo of a train. But my advice for this hobby is to stay calm, to enjoy what you're doing, and be tough. Don't let anyone tell you you're in the wrong. Don't let anyone tell you that what you're doing is weird. And maybe it is. But that's not the point. The point is to enjoy the history, the stories, and the amazing friends that have come from this hobby. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, and checking out my other content. Goodbye.